Now, I'm very, very excited to keep the day going with our next speaker. He is the co-founder of RedPanda's Digital. He's the CEO as well, a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, has been apparently told he's got the best beard in Granville. I don't know, I'd like to rival that. My best friend, of course, Moby Siddique.
You've got to stop telling people we're best friends. She's been doing that to me for 3 years. I love her. She's one of my best friends. Thank you so much. Awesome. Guys, I'm so excited to see you guys. A lot of old friends, a lot of new friends. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if someone takes a day of my life, whether I'm paying for it or it's free, they better deliver. Right, Peter? 100%. They better deliver, and we will deliver. And by the way, who here's gotten value already from Marcus? Round of applause for Marcus. Absolutely. So we're going to continue to deliver, but you've got to do your part. Now, Tash did a really, really good job at the start to set the conditions. And it's my job to keep that going. Now, one of the things she asked, and I think it was Beth, she asked Beth, what do we need to do? And Beth said that we need to have an open mind, right? It was you, right? Yeah, good, cool. So Beth said we need to have an open mind. Now, why is that important? Because when you go to sales and marketing conferences, when you hear case studies, we have this tendency, right? I'm going to quiz someone now, so let's see if you guys are paying attention. We have this tendency, when we learn something new, we're like, that's all well and good, and that might work for Moby, and that might work for Marcus and a roofing company. But we're what, Peter? What do they say? We're different. That's right, you're paying attention. Well done. So you need to resist that voice. You need to think about this because this has purposely been designed for you. If you sell to a human, whether you guys are in fitness over there, whether you're selling solar, Penrith, shout out to Penrith over there. You guys got your passport stamped on the way in? You know I love you. They're customers. I love them. They know that, right? So it doesn't matter what you're selling. If you are selling to humans, these principles are universal. They're for every single one. Now, speaking of footy, I have a bit of a confession to make. I am a bit of a recovering Parramatta Eels fan. Why are you laughing for, Jared? Thank you. Man, give us some love, man. Thank you. Give us some love. Yeah, there's not much there. Yeah, fine. Now, by the way, you need to know nothing about rugby. I barely watch a game anymore because my heart just can't take it. It really can't. Ed, you know the Parramatta Eels? No? You don't know. Yeah, it's laughing. Yeah, I can't take it anymore because when Parramatta wins, they win. They put 50 points on a team. Right? They're doing trick passes. They'll sign these star players that stick with us for a few years and they go to better money, right? But when they lose, the same thing happens. Teams will put 50 points on them. They go from winning a grand final 1 year to not making it to the finals the next year. Thank you, Penrith. Appreciate that. You could have helped me out there. Now, if that is the inconsistent team, and by the way, why this is important, if you haven't already guessed, is we need to build a culture of high performance. It's not about winning a game. It's not about having 1 or 2 star players. It's not even about winning a month or 2. We want to win the championship. So if that is what we don't want, what's the team you think is the team that we do want? What's a high-performing team?
Penrith, baby.
Well, give them a clap because they won 2 grand finals in a row. No, yeah, fine. Yes, but no, actually. And this is why. I'll explain. So they did a study on this, right? And they found the consensus best team in the NRL that is the most consistent. And this really hurts me. You guys have to understand how painful this is because I'm a Blues supporter. Is the Melbourne Storm. Thank you for a little shitty clap. I want that. I don't want to clap for the Melbourne Storm. It really pains me, but it is. It's true. And the reason for that is when you look at, they're a new team, by the way. They're the same age as me, 25 years old. Right? They've been around. Come on, man. Tasha, you have to laugh. Seriously? They've been around for 25 years. In 25 years, they have made it to the grand final 22 times. Sorry, the finals 22 times. They made it to the grand final 8 times, and they won the bloody thing 4 times. That's a culture of high performance. Now, we had a ex-professional rugby league player that Alex helped me place. He helps place ex-professional athletes into sales roles. Shout out to you, Alex. You can pay me later for that. So he did that, and he helped place this guy called Janeko. And Janeko had been in dozens of locker rooms. And he's like, Moby, you don't understand. Melbourne Storm is next level, right? I hate saying it because it's Melbourne Storm. I can't do it. They are next level. There are players on hundreds and thousands of dollars, right? $200,000, $300,000 players that Melbourne won't take because they don't cut the mustard, right? Now, what makes these guys different? Now, some of you guys who do know football, again, you don't need to know anything about rugby. This is the true football, by the way, not whatever Marcus's and Bob's with helmets and padding. This is the true football, men's football. Is some people who know football will say, yeah, but they had great players. And it's true. Who knows who these players are, by the way? Cheetahs, 100%. I like that. Cooper Cronk. Who else? Cameron Smith. Billy. For me, it's like Voldemort. It's very hard to say the name, so I appreciate that. They played together for 14 years. Yeah, true. But this is the thing. And I want, especially because I speak to a lot of you guys are my customers, we worry sometimes about star players. We sometimes even let them get away with shit that we shouldn't. But this is a big myth, by the way, because when these guys left, they're like, oh, the dynasty's over, they're going to suck, they're not going to make sales. When the big three was broken up, as they call them, the next 4 years, they made it to the top two twice, and they won the grand final as well. So that's bullshit. If you build a culture of high performance, it doesn't matter if star players come and go. The machine keeps on going. Now, the other reason why I really love this example is the coach, Craig Bellamy. He's really known for basics, right? Not trick passes. I know those things are fun. I know those hacks are fun. We'll get a couple of sales here and there. He's not known for those things. He's known for the basics, passing and tackling. This guy's meticulous. That's what he focuses on. Because this is the stuff that wins championships. This is the stuff that wins grand finals. So, what does that mean for us, right? What does that mean for us? So I'm literally going to talk about that. We are obviously, a lot of people here for AI. By the way, AI is freaking amazing, but this is not that. This is basics. This is passing and tackling. What you need to do day in, day out, it's kind of like trust in a way. These principles do not go away. And I've purposely selected these principles because, again, if you're selling to a human, these will apply to you. Cool. All right, so we're going to talk about, obviously, building a culture of high performance. Going to talk about understanding the sales process, knowing what our sales team is doing, and working on communication. Let's move on. Sales process. Now, who here has been, let me ask you, Marcus, have you ever been, when you're part of a sales process, and I'm not talking about like buying Skittles from Woolies. It's a great grocer, Marcus, by the way. It's been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of misunderstandings. The other day, I was like, oh, I need to put my thongs on. And Marcus looked at me like, dude, I got to get out of here. Like, thongs are very different, right? So, Woolies. So, no, I'm not talking about Woolies. Say it's a considered purchase. It's a car or a boat or something like that. And you go through that considered purchase. Does it feel like that purchase is for the buyer or for the seller? For the buyer. And good ones are like that. And they're the ones you'll remember. But the ones most of the time, it's usually for the seller. The buying process is usually designed for the seller. Now, you might have a Salesforce or a HubSpot or a CRM, doesn't matter what it is, and you've got these beautiful pipeline deal stages, right? New inquiry, proposal sent, close one, lost. You've got these beautiful stages, right, in your systems. But the thing is, I know it's called a sales process, but get over that, right? It's about the buyer. This is going to make a lot more sense in a second, but you've got to think, Marcus, what stages, or in every single stage, what decisions do our buyers need to make? I'll explain that with an example. So I've got HubSpot here, so I've got to be very careful. Khan told me not to call him out, so I'm going to do that. Khan, my friend, he's a really good guy. He's from HubSpot. But so we sell HubSpot, right? You can buy HubSpot directly through HubSpot, or you can buy it through a partner agency. No problem. Now, when I first started selling HubSpot, I thought we were selling HubSpot. We're not selling HubSpot. What RedPanda is really good at, and you'll see when Tasha speaks, she talks about the customer journey. We're really good at devising customer journeys and creating content that pushes people through the stages. Because if you haven't already guessed what Marcus was talking about, content should push people through stages, right? So the decision I need buyers to make, or my customers to make, holy shit, I need a customer journey map. holy shit, this is costing me money because there's gaps in my sales process, I need RedPandas, right? So think about this for yourself. Think about all the stages. I want you guys to go back, look at your deal stages, and think about what specifically at every stage are the decisions my buyers need to make. That's going to inform your content. That's going to inform your pitching, your scripts, all that stuff. So let me continue with that, right? That particular example, the RedPandas HubSpot example. So the first decision, before they even speak to me or before they speak to our friends at HubSpot, they need to make the decision that spreadsheets suck. Now, of course, there's another path too, so you have another CRM. But, one path is spreadsheets suck, I can't take this anymore. The second decision I need them to make is, I need a great customer journey. So Alex, by the way, those first two things, how can I help them make that decision that they need these first two things? What can help? Before they even speak to me. Content. You've been paying attention, man. That's awesome. Content, right? So content can help. The next decision, this is even before they speak to us, the next decision they need to make is, I want to be empowered to own my CRM in-house. And that's why, by the way, I know James, he loves Salesforce, and I love you, James. He's an old good friend of mine. But that's why people leave Salesforce, because you have to pay someone to use it. With HubSpot, it's a lot easier to use. And also, they want to be empowered to use that system. They don't want to be hamstrung. Resh is scared here, I'm going to start talking to her. But, the thing is, when you have a CRM, you don't want to pay an agency. You're a digital marketer, you want those skills in-house. You want to build those skills in-house. So the next decision I need them to make is, I want to be empowered to own my CRM in-house. And then finally, Peter, I need someone to help me, right? Finally, we come then. That's when we actually come. That's the decision they need to make, not in the start. That's going to make more sense as I keep going. So how do we know our sales team is doing well? Has someone even ever ghost shopped their sales process? Like mystery shopped your own sales process? Have you ever done that? Your own, not a competitor's. No, you haven't. Guys, you've got to do that. Because if you mystery shop your sales process, and by the way, I know there's some startups here. So if you're a startup, role play this with someone. You're going to go through it. And Peter, you're going to find that you hate it. Why don't they talk about this? Why don't they talk about that? They're missing this, they're missing that. That's not what we want. And so what you should be doing is listening out and seeing whether there is a sense of joy. Now, I know there's some marketers here, right? Nathan, we want them to feel a sense of joy. We don't want, if you go through that process, because we spoke about good processes and bad processes, we want them to feel a sense of joy, a real sense of joy. Not okay. Because guys, this is probably one of my favorite slides here, is okay is not good enough. In 2023, with rising costs, inflation, all this crap that the media tries to scare us about, you cannot be good. Good yields you poor results. Great yields you okay results. In 2023, I'll drop the F word, but I'm scared of swearing in front of Marcus. You need to be outstanding. You need to feel a sense of joy. So if you mystery shop your process, or you role play, or you listen to calls, and there is not a sense of joy, I hate to say it, but you're paramedic eels. It pains me to say that, but you are. Cool, so salespeople. Now this is really, really important because I need to get a gauge. Salespeople, put your hand up. If you're in sales, if you're a salesperson, sales leader, keep your hands up. Amazing, amazing, amazing. All right, keep your hands up. How many of you record your calls? Cool, all right, a couple of hands down. Keep your hands up. He's still got his hand up. It's amazing. How many of you actually listen back to those calls? Oh, a couple of people with their hands down. So thank you. I appreciate that, thank you. My question to the people in that corner over there, I'm not going to point you out, is why do you record your sales calls if you're not listening to them? It's like planting a flower and just kind of running over it, right? This stuff is really, really important. Now, I know because I deal with a lot of salespeople. Salespeople are my favorite type of people. They're also my challenging type of people, which is why I love them. They might say, but Moby, we've got our notes, right? Scott, I know, your team uses a CRM. We've got our notes, Scott. But are notes enough? What's missing when you look at notes from our sales rep in your team?
A little bit more interaction.
More interaction? Yeah, what else? What else is missing? If you rely on notes from your sales reps. What they didn't type. Scott said you miss?
What you don't know.
You don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And I love that. You don't know what you don't know and what they didn't type. So I've got a 6-month baby at home, which is why I have bags under my eyes right now. And he doesn't know if I put a bowl of ice cream or a bowl of chicken poop, and I've got a lot of chickens now, so there's a lot of chicken poop in my backyard. He doesn't know which one he should go after. Now, I should mention, because I role-played this with my wife the other night, and she's like, if you feed him ice cream at 6 months, I'm going to kill you. So I don't do that. I'm just giving you an example. You don't know what you don't know. It's not about trust. It's about you don't know what you don't know, right? So I want you to think of my 6-month-old baby when you think of this. On-site. Oh, I'm going to stick with Ricky for a second. On-site. So I'll leave Scott alone for a second. I'm going to speak to my friend Catherine here. So Catherine, do you guys do a lot of on-site? Do your sales reps do a lot of on-site visits? Yeah. How could you record calls on-site? How could they do that? Because that could be an objection, right? Yeah. We're on-site and those interactions can't be recorded. Is there a way they could be recorded? If you had to.
If you had to. You can do it with video or your phone or... Yeah.
Catherine said you could do it with your video or your phone. 2 things. There's often a call to book the meeting, and knowing that sales are normally lost, depending on what research you look at, between the first 30 and the first 60 seconds, I'd want to know what's happening in that call, whether they even get to the meeting. And then Catherine said another thing as well. You could literally record it, right? Literally, you could pull out your phone, say, Catherine, do you mind if I just hit record on my phone just so I can be present and take notes? Yep. Now, unless Catherine's an anti-vaxxer, she's going to say no problems. It's okay, no issues. And for those other 20%, all good, not a problem, put it back in my pocket. Right? So don't let those things, those hurdles come up. If you want to, you can record. And think like the buyer, right? So, there we go. That's very nice, thank you. Tasha probably put that there. So think like the buyer, right? Listen to what's happening. Are we just box ticking? Are we just going through the process? Is there a sense of joy? Are we connecting? Now, you guys are going to think I'm an arsehole for about 2 minutes, and that's okay. Hopefully half of you think I'm not. Connecting is not about rapport building. It's not about me saying, hi, Nathan. Oh, thanks for your time. Do you have a minute? Thank you so much for your time. I just want to take you through a couple of things. Now, in your mind and anyone else's mind, do I have a higher power status or low status? Low, because I'm desperate. Now, I know I exaggerated that for effect, but people often misconfuse or kind of conflate rapport building with connecting. It's not about that. I had a bit for later, but I'm just going to say it now. So literally, 80, and if you guys are in sales, write this down, because this is one of my favorite pitches. One of my favorite ways to start a call is, hi, Nathan. Nathan wanted to make notes, so now he's like, great. Your friends will make notes. Hi, Nathan. So good to talk with you. The objective of this call is to see where you're at, where you're trying to get to, and whether we can help. And if we can help, I can give you some pricing, we can talk about that, next steps. And if we can't, I can point you in the right direction. How does that sound, Nathan?
A whole lot more confident.
Cool. So how does that feel? Do I feel salesy? Do I sound salesy there? How does that feel, Daniel?
Straight to the point.
Yeah? What else? How else does that feel?
It's meeting my expectation and need.
Yeah, expectation and need. Daniel said it meets my expectation and need. It also, in theory, if I do it right, it shouldn't come off as salesy. And I'm willing to walk away. I know Jake loves this one. Willing to walk away is the idea that I'm not desperate. Daniel said desperate. Not desperate, and I can walk away from this. Maybe we can help, maybe we can't. Right? So connecting, that stuff is really important. And, cool, by the way, content managers, put your hands up, content managers in the house. I know there's, nice, Jared, Piper, Ange, my friend, Jake, well, lovely. This is the thing. Now, I know content managers, I know sometimes your job is hard. And it's not because sales doesn't give a shit. Of course they give a shit, but they're busy, right? And I'm in sales too, and sometimes we're a little bit dumb. Like people ask us, what's the question that came up in the sales process? Oh, dude, like after a couple of weeks, I can't keep answering that. But if you record your calls, give them to your content managers. Because they're going to pick up on things that sales probably, don't get scared, it's okay. Okay, Penrith, you've got like 4 people who can tackle me, right? Don't get scared. So yeah, you're going to find things, right, Jacob, that sales may not think about. Would that be useful to you if you listen to a sales call?
That would be so useful.
Jacob, see his eyes, if you didn't, that would be so useful. I love that. Of course it would. And it's not that Dylan or Hannah can't give you those. They'll give you those. But for you, you're going to, because like as marketers, we're sometimes immune to the sales process, we're going to pick up on things that aren't always obvious. There's gold sitting there. There's absolute gold sitting there. So your content gets better, ladies and gentlemen. So key things to listen out for. Are we pitching too soon? I gave you my little script of willing to walk away, right? Are we pitching too soon? Are we talking about us? Are we selling features and not outcomes? Software as a service companies, and HubSpot, you better put your hand up. Software as a service companies, any software as a service companies. Member Jungle, there's a couple there. Great, cool. Now, I know Member Jungle is really good at this because we helped you guys. You guys are really good at this. You don't do this. But stop selling features, right? You need to be selling outcomes. I'm going to give you a quick example. So Booper, who's in the house, Booper's in the house, right? I'm not going to point him out because I don't want to embarrass him. Booper's in the house. And not my friend here, but his boss. HubSpot tried to sell to Booper, right? And because it's Booper, it's like, oh, Booper, you know, blue chip. We're going to throw our best sales guy. Now, by the way, this guy's pretty awesome. He's actually really, really awesome. But he was doing it the old school way. He was trying to sell them features, trying to throw them into a demo, right? Look at how good we are. No joke, and we're all friends here, right? So you keep this a secret, although everyone has a friend. He said to me, my POC said to me at Booper, Moby, I want to stop this guy from effing calling me. I will not deal with him anymore. I'll tell you, literally, I sold him on one slide. One slide, and I'll tell you now, if you guys, pay attention if you sell solutions-based stuff. One slide, 3 columns. First column was issues, right? Obviously, this is my second call. So I had one call already. First column was issues. So we can't see visibility in our pipeline. We don't have reporting. We don't have blah, blah, blah. Awesome. The next column was impact, right? This is where I probe. Okay, so what is the impact of you not being able to see forecasting? Well, we don't know how much money we're going to make. I don't need to try to do salesy sales tactics. I'm not about that. I'm not about those hacks. Oh, well, if you don't do that, how's that going to affect you? Will you be able to clothe your kids at night? No, none of that shit, right? I get them to say the issue, the impact, and what we know about the problem. That third column is where I talk about all those features and all that bullshit, like we have this feature and that feature. Where software as a service and HubSpot is getting better, they often focus on the features first. That's what I mean by that. Cool, let's keep going. Asking if they'd like fries with that. Are we order taking? Are we curious? I love this one because the way I remember this one, and this should help you. Who is a Ted Lasso fan? Anyone seen Ted Lasso? Doesn't that warm your heart? Was that finale good? How good was that finale, right? Oh, no, okay, don't worry. I won't wreck it. I didn't like the ending, by the way. Yeah. Right, so how curious is Ted? Resh, how curious is he? Is he curious? Yeah. He's a curious guy. So be curious, right? Are we seen as trusted advisors? So you do a lot of these things. You do assignment selling, like Marcus spoke about, all that just becomes a byproduct. It's not about being a trusted advisor. That becomes a byproduct. That's what we listen out for. Cool. All right, some of you guys aren't convinced. I know, and maybe even if you guys are, you'll take this back to your team. And some people will be like, it's too hard to record calls, or I'm on site, but Catherine just told us we can record calls. To be honest with you, if I'm completely honest with you, it doesn't matter. We're not trying to win a game or so, right? Alex, don't you want to get better at sales?
Absolutely.
Are you not committed to having growth mindset? Alex is committed. His team is committed, right? So I'm saying that to Alex to say to his team members because he owns the business, right? But that's the thing. It doesn't matter. You pay them to sell. We are stabbing in the dark if we don't do these basic fundamentals, things that people that they think are boring. Role playing. All right, awesome, cool. Now, role playing, it can be argued what's more important, recording calls, listening to them, and role playing. I would say that they are the same side, different sides of the same coin, absolutely. And the reason why I put a fire emoji here is not to tell you that it's fire, it is. If you have a sales team and you are not recording and you are not role playing, you are burning your money. Why are we failing in the wild? Like leads are really expensive. I know how expensive they are because we run a digital marketing and training agency. I know how expensive leads are getting. You are failing in the wild if you don't role play. So it's really, really important. How do you know what to coach if you don't role play? And I know it's awkward. And there's awkward speaker coming up to you. We can hear the bass around you. But it doesn't matter. Your team needs to do this stuff. Because do we want to be awkward or do you want to fail in the wild? Right? You've got to do this stuff. Now, some cadence here. Mark is probably going to say to me, Moby, you should be doing it every single week. And I agree, right? The best teams do this every single week. But as a minimum, role play every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks you should be role playing. Now, who here has seen The Office? You know they do a role play with Dwight and Jim, and he's like William L. Buttlicker. Who's seen that? Yeah, you've seen that, right? We don't want that because it becomes comedy amateur hour. And if you're like me, I use humor when I'm happy, when I'm excited, when I'm in socially awkward situations. I use humor all the time. That's my default. We don't want that, right? So there's a couple of things you can do to get ahead of that. Use real scenarios. So a read ahead, right? So a read ahead literally is 4 or 5 dot points, a quarter of a page, right? And this is the situation that we're going to be role playing today. That's the read ahead. Role play losses. Now, this is the thing. It's kind of like, obviously, I love my baby and I trust my baby, but I'm still going to check stuff. I'm still going to check that that's ice cream and not chicken poop in his mouth, right? So it's not about not trusting, and that's the thing. A lot of this stuff, guys, is about change management. It's about getting the team to feel that we're not here to be big brother, right? It's about getting better. So, role play losses, and this is probably one of the best things you can do. Because I've just wasted, the way I look at it is this, right? I probably paid for that lead. I've just spent so much time. You know, to be honest, I don't like Conor McGregor, but one thing I learned from him is win or learn. And I love that line. If you've already wasted that time to lose, then at least learn from it. This stuff is vitally important. Practice communication techniques, what I'm going to talk about, and include your content managers, right? At least have them sit there, at least have them listen to the recordings of the role playing, because they are going to enjoy it. Just like Jacob said earlier, recordings would help us, role plays would help him too. Cool. All right, communication techniques. I feel like all of these sections are my children. They're all my favorites. This is another one of my favorites. The objective in sales, and Alex, I think you can agree with this, is when you are in a sales process, when you're communicating, it's to have equal peer status. I know with Nathan, I was like, oh, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. That's obviously low. I'd actually argue, to be honest, it's probably to have a little bit more than peer status, a little bit higher than them. And the best analogy I can give you, if you want to remember this or communicate this back to your teams, is the difference between a salesperson who's running around with a clipboard at Central Station, trying to get you to pay, change your bills or whatever, and a lawyer. Because when you go to a lawyer, Alex, they're not, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full. They're not thanking you for their time. They're like, look, here's your problem. This is what I recommend. Take it or leave it, type of thing. Right, that authority. And there's a line that I've heard before, which I absolutely love, and salespeople, you guys, you've got to commit this line to your memory. Money is a commodity. Like, money's out there. What you do at Penrith Solar, what you do with Creative Identity, Peter, that's not a commodity. So why, because there's money involved and they're paying us, do we lower our status? Money is a commodity. What we do is not a commodity. So let's not lower our status. Cool. So I'm going to just touch on this briefly. Marcus, I'm sure if you want to touch on this, you can talk about this as well. I'm just going to touch on this very, very briefly. Communication techniques. So these are communication techniques that if you're a sales leader, you should be working on. If you get a sales coach, if you get sales training, and we do this with our clients, this is the stuff that I have worked with Penrith Solar there, Member Jungle in the past. This is the stuff that we work on. Now, Marcus touched on this before, and let's see if you remember Marcus T, if you remember what it was. He was talking about objection handling. So is it better, if you know that a prospect has an objection in their head, is it better to bring it up proactively before or after they raise the objection? Before. That is a vanguard, getting ahead of it. So if you know there's an objection, you get ahead of it before. Because what does that do, Marcus? It creates trust. The T word, it creates trust. That stuff is really important. Question first, I'm just going to touch on this one, but leading with questions, not leading with telling. Law of 3, digging deeper, and yes and. Yes and is one of my favorites, because let's face it, right? I could train you or your team on the best sales tactics and how to set your calls up and win the first 30 seconds, great. But they're still going to run into objections. Now, yes and is something, it's actually a lot deeper than just objection handling, but let's stick with sales. Yes and you could use for any objection, right? Peter, tell me my price is too expensive.
Your price is way too expensive.
Yes and my price is expensive. Yes and if quality is important to you and having a team and support is important to you and addressing your concerns, and I know because you've told me that before, then maybe we're a right fit and maybe we're not. So I want to do something here because I feel like I can't do a role play because I've been talking about role plays Hands up if you're in sales, because I'm going to do a role play. Watch, there's like less hands up now, which is great. Cool. Setter, come up. Everyone, give Setter a round of applause, please. So we're going to practice something. I think there's a mic. Is there a mic floating around, by the way? If there's not, come with me. Okay, cool. So this is the setup, right? So you work for the Apple Store, and you are a genius, apparently, even though you just came out of uni last year, right? Somehow you're a genius. Cool, let's just run with it. Run with it. You know, I've got some issues, don't I? Yeah, right? She's not, by the way. I know she's not, you know, although she looks young.
I am a genius.
No, you are a genius, but not an Apple genius. But okay, for this role play, you're an Apple genius, right? You're an Apple genius. And you are about to, you spent some time with me. I'm really, really close, and you're ready to ask me for payment information, right? So I'm selling you a laptop or a MacBook, and I'm ready to ask you for payment information. And your objection will be, you went to a PC store, and they had a CD drive.
I'm objecting. Yes.
Yeah, cool, right? Okay, cool. So actually, yeah, you sell to me. So set it up, ask me for my payment information.
How would you like to pay?
Look, Seta, I'm really interested, but I did go to the PC store down the road, and they have a DVD player, and I've got a lot of DVDs. So I want to watch DVDs.
I relate to that. Yes, but I relate to that. But DVDs are being phased out.
DVDs are being phased out. You raise a good point. But, you know, it's new technology and it's stuff you can use, right? So, you know, it's something I want. I actually want that. You guys don't have DVD players?
Yes, we could provide it for you. You could buy it separately. It comes with a nice, pretty blue attachment, and you could use it whenever you want to.
Yeah, cool. All right, cool. Let's pass. Guys, give a round of applause, please. Give some energy. Cool. All right. So we're going to set up the same thing. So what you said, just to help you a little bit, you said it's old technology, and you can buy an attachment. This time, when I raise it, I want you to say yes and let's just see how it feels. Okay? So sell to me again. You're selling me a laptop. You're ready to take my payment information? Go.
How would you like to pay?
Look, Seta, I'm very interested, but the PC store down the road, they actually have DVD players in their machines. And I have a lot of DVDs that I want to watch.
Yes, and we could definitely help you with that solution here as well. Would you like to look at the attachment I can provide you?
Yeah, but how much is that going to cost me? Is it extra?
It is an additional cost. However, we want you to leave the store in a very happy manner. So let's look at the item and we could come to an agreement.
Go from there. Cool. Round of applause, please. Thank you. I'm a little bit sadistic. I know you're a bit nervous there. Thank you so much, Seta. Now, before I go to Seta, how did the first one feel compared to the second one?
Second one flowed better.
Second one flowed better. Why do you think it flowed better, Mitch?
I think it sounded more conversational.
Sounded more conversational.
She wasn't trying to get you over the line. She was just saying, yes, that's a valid concern you put forward, and we've also got the solution for it.
Why do you think it sounded conversational? That's a great answer, by the way. Why?
I think it took the barrier away.
Took the barrier away. Because I wasn't, I think she first said, yes, but, or something like, or but, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, do you have kids, Mitch?
Yeah.
Right? We're used to fighting with kids. Yes, but. So I don't know if it's kids, but we're conditioned that that's a barrier. Mm-hmm. Whereas yes, and it flowed. Does everyone agree with Mitch? Did it flow better the second time? Yeah? How did that feel to you? I don't put words in your mouth. How did that feel to you as a sales rep with the second one?
In the beginning, it was automatic for me to object to you. When I used the yes and freaking out, but you're using the yes and, it felt more natural because I wanted to help you. I wasn't objecting to you.
Awesome. One more round of applause for Seta. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. She's not going to buy from me after that. No, I'm playing. Thank you. I appreciate it, Seta. Awesome. So yeah, that's right. There are all these communication techniques, right? So the whole point of this stuff is, again, like role-playing, listening to calls, practicing this stuff. It's not about being salesy. It's not about hacks. It's about understanding psychology and how we move it forward. And yes and is great for that. It moves the sales forward. It progresses the sale forward. Cool, all right, let's talk about this. What happens when we watch calls and role play, right? It's a little bit obvious, but I'm going to talk about this. There's no reason why you shouldn't, because you have more efficient sales calls, right? If you like my willing to walk away, by the way, I call it WTWA, right? WTWA, write that down, willing to walk away. Your sales calls are a lot more efficient because you can practice a lot of this stuff. What else happens? You can combine the best of the best. Now, I'll be honest, and I'll do this in a group setting because I'm a little bit scared of Marcus sometimes. We role play only once a fortnight, not once a week. Sorry, we role play once a fortnight. And what I find when we role play, I'll have myself there and I'll go and I'll do okay. Then Tony goes and he does a little bit better. Then Linda goes, she does a bit better. Tony goes, Tasha will go, a whole bunch of people. We call that the snowball effect, right? Everyone picks up from everyone else. Now, if you have sales teams here, and I know a lot of you guys have sales teams here, sometimes one person does something very good and someone else does something very good, but they're two different things. So you combine the best of the best. That's what you get when you role play and everyone learns from each other and they make it their own. They're not trying to be like Moby or Tasha or Marcus. They learn from the best of the best and they develop that. Weed out poor performers. Again, this is like brutal Moby for a second, but poor performers in this situation, they don't last. Those star players that are really good, they have a lot of skills, but they don't have a growth mindset, they don't last. They just kind of fall out. And they wouldn't last in my environment, so they shouldn't last in your environment either. What else happens? Your content gets better. I think now that should be obvious. It should be obvious why it gets better. And you close more deals. Because that's what it's about at the end of the day. Cool, all right, so last bit here now. We all know this, but again, not everyone will do it. And even if you're convinced, you're going to take this back to your team, but I would ask you, without listening to calls, Alex, you miss opportunities. You don't know how to coach your team. Without role playing, we're failing in the wild, right? Without communication techniques, funnily enough, we actually sound more salesy. We're not efficient. We're wasting time, right? This stuff is really, really important. Because again, you guys have to, this is how much I love you. Like, I love Parramatta Eels, but I keep throwing crap at them, right? Because at the end of the day, do you want to build a culture of high performance where someone comes in, someone goes out? It's okay. The culture still rides. The culture carries the team forward, right? Or do you want some star players where you kind of bend over for every so often and you kind of do what they want to do? I think you guys know what we want. Championship versus games. Do we actually want to win the season? Do we want to win the championship? Or do we want to be at the mercy of some poor performers that will probably leave us anyway? Right? It's a really, really important question. So, you could win, or you could be okay, get poor results. You could do that. You could not pay your people what they're worth and hire even more high performers. Or you could. Let's see with that. I hope I scared you for a second. Right, okay, cool. Now let's talk about what you guys do next, right? That's at stake. So what is at stake? Winning versus not hitting revenue targets, attracting the right talent, and paying people what they're worth and keeping our top performers. That's really, really important. If you're in sales, if you have a sales team, if you're a marketer and you know sales, I see some people taking the cameras out already, take a photo. This is a sales assessment. Because the first step often is to find out where we are lacking, right? So you take the sales assessment. It's done by our Impact family. You take the sales assessment, it will give you 10 questions, and it'll ask you really good questions as you're going through, like, oh my God, shit, that's a really good question. And it'll give you a score at the end and some free advice, right? Do that. That's step one. Now, if you need help, and you know who you are if you need help, if you need a coach, and this isn't a hard sell, you know who you are. In your show bags, by the way, there is a services booklet, and it talks about all the services we do. And of course, because we come from the Marcus School, there is pricing there. Or just send me an email, right? Or during the break, any break, Tasha will be there at the information desk and have a conversation with her. And maybe we can help you, maybe we can't. If we can, we'll help you, and if we can't, we'll point you in the right direction. See what I did there? And I mean that. I honestly mean that. So, before I let you go, because I'm a little bit paranoid, not everyone knows what to do. So get ready, because I start. And by the way, if I come here And I start talking to Peter, and I say Peter's name. Daniel, how do you feel? You feel fantastic. Daniel's great. But Emma, how do you feel? If I'm talking to Peter and I'm calling him by name, are you a little bit more alert?
Yes,
Why?
because I'm afraid you're going to speak to me next.
Yeah. Emma said, I'm afraid he's going to speak to me. Yes, that's by design. Because I'm teaching community, I'm telling you, you guys see this. Like, don't just listen to what me, Marcus, and the speakers are telling you. Watch how we do stuff. Because that's what we do in sales, right? You're scared. Like, if there's not many people on their phones, and I know the people on their phones are taking notes. This stuff is really important. So, my question to you guys, and I'm going to go with my friends at Empire Legal for a second. What do we need to do? What's something we need to do? After listening to that, and say we've got a sales team, George, what do we need to do?
Actually implement a process to maybe start recording and role playing so that we move the needle in the right direction.
Cool, cool. George said a process, role-playing, and what else did you say?
Moving the needle in the right direction and recording the calls.
Recording the calls. Anything else? Anything else we've got to do?
Sharing it with your content managers.
Sharing it with your content managers. Absolutely. Right? Record your calls. Develop a sales process that's customer-centric. Think about what decisions do we need to make at every stage. That's one. George spoke about recording your calls and role-playing. And for the love of God, practice communication techniques. Awesome. I'm going to see you guys a little bit later. I hope you enjoyed it and enjoy the rest of the speakers today. Thank you very much.
Awesome.